Reach Fest 2020-23. Can we get a round of applause, please? Thank you, thank you. Every year we do a unity call, a relatives check, and we have our performers, our speakers who are going to come out and say their name and nation. My name is Stephanie Van Hoos. I am Ganagaha, Mohawk Bay of Quinte, Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. I am the founder of Reach and very excited to work with our co-creators, Autumn Lee. Please give her a round of applause. The lineup that you are seeing today is Autumn's work. And we'd also like to thank our gratitude for Lexi Shishoff, our event coordinator. So Lexi, come on out. We have an entire program planned for you. And yes, we are running a little bit behind, so some of the programs are going to be a little bit truncated, but we also have classes. We have all different tables out in the atrium. Reach's focus is twofold. It is for us, our representation, our education, our advocacy, our ceremony, and our healing. And our community call to action is for our partners in the community. So you'll see allied partnerships out there. We have Dayton United for Human Rights. We have the City of Dayton Water. And we also have the Premier Health is with us to do health checks. So this year's focus is on health and human rights. Please stop at the different tables. We have the Levitt Pavilion, and just a sneak preview of next year, 2024. There's going to be an Indigenous music program coming to the Levitt Pavilion for the first time, so we are very excited about that and like to thank the Levitt Pavilion at this time. Lisa Wagner, raise your hand, please. Everybody give her a round of applause. Most importantly, I would like to take this time to thank our sponsors, the Dayton Metro Library, Jeffrey Traziak, he is the executive director. He has invested his time and energy, the library staff, in putting this program together, working with us, empowering us to create our program for our community, for our Indigenous community, also relatives coming in from all over for today's programming, but also the community who's interested and wants to learn more. We have several education tables, and the library has set up a table with us with Autumn and Lexi's favorite book list. So please stop by and check that out. You can check out books, you can check out movies, DVDs, videos, all of it. The library has that. So please raise your hands and clap for Dayton Metro Library for helping us put this together.
So, hello, my name is Autumn, and I'm Keuka Nation, and I am very excited and happy that we are having this program. It is our second year doing this, and it was amazing last year, and I think it's going to be either just as amazing or even more amazing. We have a great lineup for you, like Stephanie said. We have amazing, wonderful booths out there, artisans, and the theme of this year was to bring in different Indigenous artists, so you'll see what they can do and just show how our community is so wide. We have so many different people who can do so many different things. It's a lot of variety, and we appreciate them for taking the time out of their busy schedules to come here and to showcase that and share it with you. And beside of me,
my name is Lexi Shishoff. I'm Navajo, and I'm just really excited for this event and for everybody to learn and hear different things about Indigenous culture they might not know.
and we also want to thank somebody that we haven't thanked yet, and that is all of you for being here and being part of this program, because without people like you, we wouldn't be able to put this on. We love your interest, and we love the fact that you're here supporting us in our community. So now what? Give yourselves a round of applause.
Okay, without further ado, we're going to bring in each of the speakers and performers. They're going to say their name and nation. We'll line up. We'll begin with a prayer, and then after that, we're going to go into our 2023 award winners for Reach Empowered Allyship Award, and also our Warrior in the Arena Award.
I am teaching a finger reading class for brand new beginners, which is, I think, a lot of people. And okay, that's it.
Round of applause, thank you.
Apetia Vomantalis Questo Population Calix Christin Homeneus, Tituius, Chiquiquires, Calcalius, Noxtin Hoes, Luchiel, Luchus, Ganis, Dulio, Uctunchen, Lampotia. Thank you, everybody. My name is Velma. I come from the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and Blackfeet Nations. I live in Washington State on the Spokane Indian Reservation. And I'm just really thankful to be here. Thank you all for coming out and being willing to listen to us. And I hope that we can give you guys some good knowledge today. So, Tunt Lam Lunch.
Bonjour and I, Mishiki Kwan Dishnakasmakwa and Hi, my name is Jillian. I am a Buffalo woman and I come from Saginaw, Chippewa. I'm also Gun Lake, Potawatomi. I will be representing and showing you guys Indigenous fashion. And then I'll also be showing you guys porcupine quill work and caribou tufting. So we would like to show you guys traditional arts brought into contemporary spaces.
Bonjour, Malcolm Dishkakas, Nashani Okinawagas, Potawatomi, Anishinaabe, and Dao. My name is Malcolm. I'm from the Gun Lake Tribe Band Potawatomi, and I'm Anishinaabe. And I'm going to be doing hoop dancing today, which comes from the Pueblos people from a ceremony that they would have done as a healing ceremony. Miigwech.
My name is Rick Swalina. I'm the lead singer at Thunder Nation Singers. We're a multi-tribal drum. What we do is we go around the East Coast, going from powwow to powwow, singing for the people, singing for the dancers. We do a lot of traveling through the summer and spring months. Through the fall, we do a lot of stuff around our hometown area. And then what we like to do is, we like to come out and we like to see the dancers and all of that stuff. So we carry a lot of songs that we wrote and a lot of songs that were passed down from generation to generation. This is my family drum right here. So it started out with like my dad and my grandpa and the rest of my family, and then eventually it wound up being to where I got to carry it and take it to places and have singers that grow with me. So around this drum I have a lot of my own family. So that's what these things are about, is preserving those traditions, keeping those things alive, language, songs, it's all the same to us. So we're just happy to be here. Thank you for coming out. Oh.
You can give it to them. Okay, if everybody would stand, please. So we'll do the 4 directions, sending gratitude out in 4 directions for ourselves, our family, our community, our state, our nation, and the planet. Yahweh, 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 ho. Yahweh, 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 Velma?
Kaks Chawi Patia. Leonard Skonensuden Patia, Piala. Kasbus, Umir Putempu, Mikli Quads. Kakso no Twako Ichu, Kais, Urklok, do now Kais in Qualu. Now, Atia Hilalu Ak Kasbus. Unak Patuch and Land. Colshay. Extra Paul Kais in Paus, or Kaisuat, who has to eat off. Now he pow. Quatunt Chinland. Will East Melis. Now doing oops. Not doing clocked. Not doing still Melis. Petia. Etia here now ke yo nunt kwa eat spoos. Will learn them school student crochet. Learn it. Rest.
Before we start our program, I would like to introduce 2 incredible women to come up on the stage with me right now. The first is Nicklin Woodcock, so if you could please give her a round of applause as she walks up. And the second to my right is Kathy Arnett. If Kathy could come up, please. All right, first I would like to allow Kathy an opportunity to say her name and nation and introduce herself.
I am Kathy Arnett. I'm a descendant of the Cherokee Nation, and very happy to be here representing water protection and environmental protection in the area.
Hi, my name is Nicklin Woodcock, she, her pronouns. I am the director of the Asian and Native American Center at Wright State University.
In 2022, REACH kicked off our first vision that started with Judge Rice during Indigenous Peoples Day. And out in the lobby, you'll see the film from Indigenous Peoples Day last year. And it's really a story about our connection to the community and the community's connection to us. And reconciliation began that day on October 10th of 2022. And at that time, we asked people from the community to come and talk. The mayor gave a statement issuing a proclamation stating that Dayton recognized Indigenous Peoples Day. This is a huge moment for our community as we have sought recognition for over 40 years. And there's a gentleman who I would like to mention that is not here who was fighting for that time. So this was an important time, is Guy Jones. So Guy Jones has been a huge advocate for the Dayton community and across the nation, really, the state. And a lot of his work was realized at that day. So you'll see the videos. We talked about human trafficking, which we have Tony Talbot with us. Tony, raise your hand. From Abolition, Ohio. All of our education that you see around here and the programs that we put together, the silent H in REACH is human trafficking. So we focus on our representation, our education, our advocacy, our ceremony, and our healing. And we ask the community to pair with us and focus with us on reconciliation, repatriation, equity, and our education system, and our allyship. And I want to stop there on allyship. Our allyship award last year went to Jeffrey Traziak for the library. It's about being an empowered ally, not just offering incidental programming, but really investing in the community, listening to our stories, and co-creating with us and working with us to bring more awareness, education to the entire state of Ohio. And in this year, for 2023, REACH actually decided to do this program called First 500. Last year we started it. Sometimes it's hard to raise money, but if you get that first 500, it initiates an energy forward into a program and creates abundance flow. So last year's First 500 went to Mary Margaret McElvin. She runs the Thunderbird Powwow in Florida. And that program was going to not be able to have the golden category of dancers. And the reason why this is extremely important is we want our elders to be able to dance, because during their time, their grandparents and parents were not able to dance, were not able to sing. So the first 500 of 2022 went to the Thunderbird Powwow in Florida. And my son is on IAXA group at Wright State, so I had the fortune to meet Nicklin and understand more of her work. And I will tell you what Nicklin came to me first was, how can I help you? How can I help expand programming? How can we help the students? And she has done an incredible year focusing on that work. In January, she started the center. In February, she brought in Eli Grayson, Muskogee, the Freedmen of 5 Tribes. She supported IAXA in planning their Iditarod Puppy Party, which hosted service dogs to the community. So that was extremely important because it was catering, it was logistics, it was also bringing in NACO, who's not here, but they are the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio, and they're based in Columbus. So I would like to acknowledge our relatives in Columbus because they do a lot of work with food in the community and they have an active center. In 2023, you'll see wood pins that we are wearing. She actually sourced those from Tuscarora Woodworks out of Tuscarora Nation in New York and brought awareness to the community at large for Orange Shirt Day. We have 2 back programs. You'll see ribbon skirts in the back part of the library. One is MMIW and one is for residential school survivors. So when you see the orange shirt, please go back and look at the books for that. In fall of 2023, Sunwatch hosted their annual harvest dinner. And this is a paid event. Sunwatch is a paid event. And so Nicklin worked to provide an entire table so that students could come and be a part of that celebration and ceremony. What the future holds for all of us. In 2024, Nicklin is working with Guy Jones to focus on programming for the 100th anniversary of the Indian Citizenship Act. So 100 years. What I wanted to do in the first 500 is honor the work that Nicklin did for our community, and in her name we donated $500 to the Native American Scholarship Fund at Wright State University. So please thank me and thank Nicklin for her work and education and supporting our community. I have a special gift for you, waiting downstairs. When we talk about water protection, there are multiple facets to that. And last year, when you do something for the first time, you always give a gift. And my gift was Kathy. Kathy gifted me her time, and she gifted our community her connections. And on Kathy's decades and decades of work as a hydrogeologist, we had the City of Dayton Water. We had models from different partners, the Greater Dayton Partners for the Rivers. We were able to provide books again this festival because of the work that Kathy has done. So Kathy is the City of Dayton Environmental Advisory Board. So over the past year, she has worked as a chair for that Environmental Advisory Board, a board that works with the City of Dayton staff as well as multiple agencies to elevate the conversations and advocacy surrounding our environmental issues. The Greater Dayton Partners for the Environment Leaders Program, she has expanded her role and is a mentor for rising environmental leaders in our region. And I want to add this too, that the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission is also a REACH partner and sponsor, and they are doing, they have their environmental justice program also standing up to support this. And she is part of Wright State's Environmental Science Advisory Board as a water leader in the arena and has provided evolving environmental science curriculum. So if we want to make the change, we also have to invest in our education system. And so she has worked in the environment, worked through universities, and continues to work, as we've talked about, with the Miami Regional Planning Commission Water and Environment Subcommittee. The Boonshoff Museum Watershed, so if you've been to the Boonshoff Museum lately, they had a visioning session and she brainstormed to bring ideas to help the children protect our waterways and the environment. So this project hits home for her because an early grade school exposure to environmental challenges we face as a society influenced her lifelong pursuit in the environmental arena of water protection. And last, her one-on-one mentoring. So if you don't know and you want to understand, she is absolutely the person that will take your hand and get you the resources and really lead the way. There is no one better at mentoring than Kathy Arnett, absolutely not. And that's her favorite role, is helping individuals seek and expand their knowledge and skills of protecting the environment. So please, everybody, just stand up for our 2 award winners for 2023, Nicklin Woodcock and Kathy Arnett.
I'm always ready to speak for the water, so I think it's just the fact that people are here and caring and paying attention to their environment is so important to us every single day. Water, it was important to the first human being that was on the earth, and it will be important to the last. We must protect it for the generations to come. And I appreciate everyone's work in paying attention, keeping your eyes open, and protecting our water and our environment around us. So thank you very much.
All right, we'll bring up Autumn Lee.
Stop taking photos.
All right, everybody, here's our next portion. We are going to be bringing out an amazing speaker. She teaches her language. She is a almost fluent speaker in her language. Her name is Velma Brim, and you just saw her on stage just a few moments ago. And she is going to be talking about Indigenous resiliency, and she's going to be talking about language revitalization as well. So please give her a humongous round of applause.
Apetia, Gomentuis Quest, who Quilpitu in College Quest, Chinstitui, who Sinumene, who Squeaquation, School Kali. So good evening, everybody. My name is Velma. My traditional name given to me by my grandmother is Woman in a Little Red Blanket. It was handed down to me from her, and when she gave me her name, she became nameless. In our language and in our ways, she would have eventually gotten a new name. However, she did not make it to receiving her new name. But I come to you from the Spokane tribe in Washington State. I also descend from the Coeur d'Alene tribe in northern Idaho and the Blackfeet Nation in Browning, Montana. I was born and raised on the Spokane Indian Reservation. I spent my life there, grew up until the day before I was 21. And I decided I needed to see the world. And I took off and I jumped on a jet plane, literally, I jumped on a jet plane. And I ended up in Columbus, Ohio. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, it just happened. I ended up in Columbus, Ohio. And I lived here in Ohio for almost 10 years. From Columbus, I ended up in Chillicothe, and then I ended up in Portsmouth. And then while I was in Portsmouth, I attended Shawnee State University, and I got my bachelor's degree in history. And the whole time that I'm doing my educational journey, my educational career, my heart kept pulling. It kept telling me that I needed to go home. And then I got the call that nobody ever wants to get. And they said that you need to come home, your mom needs you. And so I packed my house, everything that I could stuff into 2 vehicles, and I drove across country as fast as I could to my mom's side. I left everything over here in storage that I couldn't fit into those cars. And I took care of my mom up until the very last. And while I was there doing that, I needed to find something to keep myself from going crazy, right? Because I don't care how old you are, how prepared you think you are, you're never prepared for that. And I needed to keep myself from going crazy. So I applied to the tribal college there on my reservation, and I said, listen, I have this bachelor's degree. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but tell me what you want me to do, and I'll help you figure it out, you know? And I ended up teaching there, became the director of their Native Studies program. And while I was at it, I got to start visiting and hanging out with my uncle. And he kind of brought it to my attention. He says, you know, we're a pretty small tribe. My tribe has 3,000, a little bit less. And out of my tribe, we only have 2 first language speakers left. And they're in their mid-70s. One is my uncle, and the other one is a friend of my family's. And they're both language warriors. During this whole process, right, preparing for the loss of all losses, I kept wondering, what am I going to do with myself? How am I going to function? You know, I know I'm going to have to function when I'm done. And then the unthinkable happened, and I thought I was ready. Like I said, you're never ready. And, sorry. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to keep teaching at the tribal college, but I need something else. Because, you know, one of the coping mechanisms of grief is to keep yourself super busy, right? That's just one of the coping mechanisms of grief. And so I applied to the Spokane Tribes language program as a apprentice teacher, right? And I had no idea what I was walking into. Had no idea. And walking into this language program, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get to learn my language. And I'm gonna get paid to do it. But it became much more than that. Because you think, oh, you're pushing, you're doing that, what do they call that, 9 to 5 thing? Well, mine was more like 7:30 to 4. but you know, I was like, okay, this is my life now, right? I had no idea how big that statement was. I had no idea how life-altering that statement was. And as my workday started going and I got to see more and more elders coming in, right? And I got to sit and spend my time with them, just like I did when I was a little kid growing up. I spent my entire childhood with my senior citizen, my elders, my relatives, right? They're way older than me, and I'd be playing under the table, and they forget I was under there, and they'd just be talking, telling their life stories, what it was like growing up, the changes that they saw, the things that they had to go through in their life, right? And I got to do that again. But I got to learn even more in the process because now I'm an adult, and now I can understand this, and now I can, oh, that makes so much more sense why that was traumatic. And why that one was funny, and why that one was angry, and making you want to, say all the bad words, right? But along that journey, I also watched as the elders became less and less, and I made way too many walks to grave sites. And saying those final goodbyes in this world. We don't believe in saying goodbye, it's too permanent. We always say, I'll see you again. I'll see you again. And I thought, every elder that leaves us, whether they are a culture keeper of the food, the crafting of the language, of the songs, whatever it is that they are a culture keeper of, every elder that we lose is an entire library of knowledge that we will never get back again in this lifetime. And we have just lost that, right? And it made my job even more important for me to sit there and learn as much as I could about the language and everything that went along with it, because through the language, you get a chance to see the world around you through your elders' eyes, because our language is descriptive. They described everything, right? And I can tell you the word for car. And you can translate it directly as car, and that is not incorrect, right? The word pipoation for car is a car, and you're not wrong. But until you sit and you figure out what it actually is saying, then you understand that our elders had a sense of humor, and it was kind of wicked, right? Because you're like, well, I don't get it. What are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, let me explain. Here you go. This is how our elders saw these new things coming into their life, right? Going from horseback to now we got cars, they got to name it. What are you going to do? You're going to describe it, right? So pipoation actually is describing wrinkled feet that have been in the water way too long. They call them the grandma feet, been in the water too long, get out of the rivers. That's what they described as a car. Why? Because the tread of the tire looks like wrinkled feet. It doesn't necessarily mean just car. You're like, oh, your feet are wrinkled, And so that's a unique perspective that you're not going to get any other way than by diving deep into the language and understanding how they view their world, right? Or I could tell you the word for horse, and it's this really long, horrible word that is like difficult to say, and you tongue tie yourself, you trip over it, and it's fine, you face plant, you get up, dust yourself off, you try it again. And you can say, yeah, that's the word for horse. That's totally the word for horse. But really, what it is it's describing the musty smell that a horse gets after a hard run. Horses get a distinct smell, right? If you run them hard and they're all sweaty, that's what it's describing. It's not just saying that's a horse, right? So when we pray in our language, like I did earlier, And we say things like "Tun chin len kuletsiap," and you can break it down and say, "I'm thankful that you all have arrived here safely." But in reality, it also is telling you that I see, I hear, I feel your spirit and mine coming together, right? And language is so much more than that. And for many, many years, they tried to take it from us. They tried to destroy the very thing that identified us as individual nations of this country. And some of those ways were horrific. Some of those ways were truly, totally barbaric. We can talk about the nicer ones, like washing our mouths out with lye soap, right? We can talk about the nicer ones of them slapping our hands with rulers until our knuckles bled. But what they don't tell you is the other ways that they used to take our language from us. And I'm going to ask for your patience and your understanding, because I realize that there are also children here. So I want you to understand when I tell you this, that my job has gifted me this chance to sit with these elders in this first one-on-one way. And I tell you that when I got to sit and listen to a residential school survivor tell me his story, and it's not even my story, but he told me his story. And he said, me and my best friend, we're both residential school survivors. And I speak the language to him every single day. And I know he understands me. I know he's fluent, but he refuses to speak back to me. He'll only answer me in English. And you think, well, why is that so odd? And then he said one day they were out hunting. And he started talking to him like he did every day, and he started talking to him in the language. And his friend answered back in the language. And he pulled back, and he's like, whoa, like, 45 years of friendship, you've never answered me in the language, and now you're suddenly answering me in the language? His heart swelled with pride. He's like, he thought to himself, I finally broke through. I broke through, right? And he went to the son of this man, his friend. And he says, I am so proud of your dad. Your dad actually spoke to me in the language today. And the son shook his head and he started crying and he says, yeah, I know. And I'm sorry. And he looked at his friend's son and he said, why are you sorry? I don't understand. This has been the answer to my prayer the whole time. Why are you sorry? I don't. And he says, no, you don't understand. My dad has Alzheimer's. He doesn't have very much longer, and he's forgotten how to speak English. And he goes, I'm sorry, what? He says, my dad doesn't have very much longer. He's forgotten how to speak English. He's reverted back to his first language. And he says, and I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to explain to you why he would never answer you in the language. He went to residential school, the same as you did. They were in 2 separate residential schools. And he said, my dad just one time, broke down and he started crying. And he says, I can't. I know it. I understand it. I hear it. I feel it, but I can't. And he broke down to his son and he told his son, he says, because every time that I spoke the language of my mom and my dad and my grandma and my grandpa and my great-grandparents and my great-greats all the way back to time immemorial, they wouldn't just wash my mouth out with soap. They wouldn't just smack my knuckles. They wouldn't just starve me for a day or two. No. They would shove sewing pins through my tongue. Every time I spoke, I would get a sewing pin through my tongue. So I started associating my language with pain and I stopped speaking it. Because once I stopped speaking it, I stopped having pain. And when he told his friend, his dad's friend, that, and the tears flowed, and he understood why his friend never answered him. All he could do was look at his friend's son and tell him, then I guess Creator blessed him, because now he has no memory of that pain. And now he can speak his language without fear of retribution, without fear of punishment. And I pray that his road is easy. And hearing that story from those residential school survivors talking about these things that happened to them, it wasn't something that happened, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations ago. This happened to them. It made what I do that much more important. It made my heart that much more compassionate to being able to sit with my elders and learn and listen everything that I could possibly absorb from them, right? And I'm not saying like I'm like the greatest student ever, but what I can tell you is that this journey that I've been on, it has opened my mind, my eyes, my heart, but more importantly, my spirit. Because now I understand my own grandmother. My own grandmother didn't speak English until she was in 3rd grade and spent every day of her life up until 3rd grade getting screamed at by teachers. And as an educator, that hurts me to know that that happened to her. And once she learned English, she would never speak the language again, right? Until I got a little bit older, and then I realized she's sneaking it in. When nobody else is looking, she's sneaking it in. Even though I know she carried the fear that what happened to her, what happened to her mom, would happen to me, she's sneaking it in there so I would have some sense of identity of who I was and where I came from, right? And so up until I was like 12 years old, I had no idea that there was an actual English name for a coyote. Growing up, it was just Spelia, right? I had no idea there was an actual English name and that his English name was Coyote. I had no idea. I had no idea that our traditional foods actually had English names. They didn't have just English names. They had Latin names. What? What's this? What? No, that's the shop. That's our huckleberries. That's schwach. That's our sarbus berries. That's pokebok. That's our white camas. Wait, they actually have English names? White camas? Brown camas? Huckleberries? What's this, right? And then my grandmother, she had a stroke. And she had what they called aphasia, and she would get stuck on it, right? Everything would be one word for like a whole day, sometimes 2. You remember one time I was trying to go to a powwow. She was one of those guys, one of those grandmas. She'd always try to hand me money, even though I had my job, I had my own money. I was like, no, we're good, whatever. And she was like, no. She was, you always need money, right? You never know what's going to happen. And so that day I went and visited her. I told her, I said, I'm getting ready to go to a powwow. I love you. I'll see you as soon as I get back. Is there anything you want me to bring you back from the powwow? And it was a running joke. And she would, until she had the stroke, she would always tell me, oh yeah, you can bring me back your new grandpa. It was one of those running jokes, right? And I was like, well, I'm not bringing one back this time, whatever. But on that day when I went to go see her, she was stuck on the word cookies. And everything was cookies. Cookies for your cookies to cookie the cookie. And then I had to start reverse engineering what she was trying to say, right? Like, what is cookies in this instance, in this instance? And how do I figure out what she's trying to tell me? And then I realized, oh, I need cookies, money, ululim, for my cookies, right? Gas. So I can drive to the cookie, the powwow, right? I had to reverse engineer it. So we were trying to figure out a way to talk to her where she didn't have to struggle so much. So we tried teaching her sign language. She wouldn't have it now. She's like, no, it's not happening, right? And then her chore worker, or 10-4, if you remember I mentioned earlier as one of our language warriors, cracked the code. And she sat there and she started talking to my yaya in the language. And my yaya, I tell you, I cried so hard that day that I walked in and I heard her speak without stuttering and get stuck on a word. It was the greatest day ever. And that was the little boot in the backside that I needed to start this language journey. And here I am, we won't say how many years later, because girl never dates herself, right? And I have a much better, stronger understanding of how important our language is, and what it means to the resilience of who we are as Indigenous people, as Indigenous women, because we have been through it, there and back again, had the t-shirt, burned it, got a new t-shirt. We've been there. We've done it. But we are not the sum of our traumas. We are the answer to the prayers that our ancestors prayed. And every day that we use our traditional language, sing our traditional songs, eat our traditional foods, we are another prayer being answered for those ancestors that sacrificed everything. Those ancestors that gave up every single iota of who they were secretly praying that at some point when it was safe or safer, that somebody would come and answer those prayers. And we are doing it every single day. And that's what keeps me going every single day. Even when it's hard, even when I want to give up, even when I want to turn my back and walk away and say, you know what? I'm not smart enough for this language journey. I can't do this. I look in the mirror. I look at these pictures of myself, and you know what I see? I see my mom. I see my yaya. I see my tupia. I see my naruya, my saluya, my shiitin sutin. Every single ancestor that sacrificed for me to be here, to do what I'm doing, to say what I'm saying. And I tell myself, you can't. Because if they didn't give up, then you sure as heck ain't gonna do it either. Language is a journey. What do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? So, all of you that are out here, no matter which background that you come from, or the multitude of backgrounds that you come from, you had ancestors who prayed and gave for you to be here, and sacrificed for you to have the things that you have now. And every time that you think it gets hard, and every time that you think that you can't keep going, I want you to remember what my mom always told me. Baby steps are still going to get you where you need to be, and you'll arrive at exactly the time that you need to get there. You're never going to just be able to get up and take off running. We all start out crawling, and then we start out walking and stumbling and falling and getting up and trying again and taking those baby steps. And then we can run. And if you're me and I'm clumsy, I trip and fall, but I get back up and I start running again. And it's fine. However many times you need to get back up and keep starting.